Okay, I'm going to record this a different way. I think the other way through Teams wasn't working. So hopefully you will get this. I'm going to post this into announcements so you guys can have this going forward. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me see here. Okay, so basically what we're going to be doing is a menu design. Hopefully you guys started your research. I see a lot of you guys posting your research on the discussion, which is great. Read through the feedback that I gave to you and read through the objective and the overview. So basically you're going to create an online digital and conceptual menu design for a restaurant of your choice. Consider that menu needs to communicate a great deal of information, and therefore establishing clear levels of hierarchy is essential. The objective of a menu design is to provide information about the restaurant, dishes served, and pricing. A successful menu will deliver the information effectively, reflect the food being served, and evoke the look and feel of the restaurant. Your technical specifications. So the deliverables is an online menu design. Software is Adobe Illustrator. Imagery is type-based design. Copy, restaurant info, dishes served, and pricing. And the color is full color. So you're going to manipulate typographic legibility attributes by customizing character spacing. So pay attention to kerning, leading, tracking, and eliminating widows and orphans in paragraphs of type. Apply proper paragraph alignment, justification, centering, flush right, all that good stuff. Apply to choose and combine typefaces appropriately. Ability to design clear levels of typographic hierarchy by working with variations in type size, weight, color, placement, and type choice. Ability to design clear levels of typographical hierarchy by grouping related items and creating separations through placement, spacing, and pagination. Explore the creative potential of typography by using typography to reflect the look and feel of a restaurant. The restrictions, the emphasis on typography, other visuals should support work harmoniously within the design. Stay away from cliches. That means overused imagery or designs that are typically shown out there for your restaurant. Limit typefaces to 3 max. You may use different type styles. So that means if you are using like Helvetica, for instance, you can use Helvetica Bold, Helvetica Italic, and so on and so forth. All right, so here we go. We're going to get started here. I'm just going to show you a really quick little overview of how I would start this. Kind of gives you a good idea how to start. So, obviously you're going to do your research. And once you pull all that research together, you're going to choose an appropriate size for your online menu design. All right, so typically, let's see here, online menu designs. Sizes. It depends on how you want your restaurant layout to be. Like for instance, if you want it more vertical or more horizontal, you have to make that choice based on appropriate sizes that, when you're looking at an online menu. Let's see here. I'm trying to give you a good sample size. So like, for example, an 8.5 by 11 would be 816 by 1058 pixels. If you go a little bigger, legal is 8.5 by 14. That's 816 by 1342. And tabloids 11 by 17. That's about 1058 wide by 1633 pixels. And a half page, which is 4.25 by 11, which is kind of small, is 408 pixels wide by 1058. I'm going to do the 816 by 1342, and I'm going to change my units to pixels. So 816 by 1342. And again, that's kind of like a tabloid size. I'm going to change this to RGB because we are working in for online details, and then their screen should be 72 pixels per inch. Choose create. And there's my menu. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show my rulers so I can have my guides out here. If you go up to view in Illustrator and you go to rulers, you can show rulers. It will appear here on the left side and your top. So you can come down here and actually pull down margin guides. And these are kind of, these won't print. These are just showing you kind of where to align your elements so that you're framing everything nicely. You're keeping everything consistent so that you're not having type too close to the edge and your alignment is good. Now you can lock these rollers or guides, sorry, you can lock these guides by going up to view guides, lock guides. You can always delete them, whatever you want to do. All right, so I'm going to start out by creating a very simple menu for a coffee company. And like I said, do your research, super, super important. Get that information, inspiration. You know, the logo design is just as important as the menu. So go ahead and, you know, do as much research as you can on the restaurant competitors so that you have a good idea how to start your menu design. Now I'm going to go ahead and name mine. I'm just going to name it Simple Coffee House. Make it big. Now this is my logo. So it's good to have your character panel out. If you don't see that, go up to window, choose type, go to character. And then also your paragraph is also a good one too, so that you can align it perfectly. That's center align right there. And then I'm going to choose a typeface just for the word coffee that I think would be appropriate for a coffee house. Now this is where I'm going to really be looking to see if you're using appropriate typefaces for your brand. So, you know, really kind of make sure that you are paying close attention to appropriate typefaces. And like I said, the research is key for this because you can see how other competitors are aligning their typefaces, and you kind of get a good general idea of a good typeface that's appropriate for your brand. If this is hard to read or not, let me see if I can find maybe a little bit better one. So I'm trying to find something very casual, but, you know, kind of a little different, still readable for the word coffee. I like the whole scripty look, but I want it to look a little more unique where it's not a typical script, you know, it's a little different. You can go to also online to look for free typefaces. Font Squirrel is a good place to go for free typefaces that designers often go to. And let's see, I'm just going to change it to that. I think that looks good. And then that's lobster. I could always choose the same font or maybe a little different. This was, let's see if there's like a lobster. This is like a little bit more bold. House is going to be a little less bold, but I'm going to make it bigger. Pay attention to leading. You know, you don't want it to be too close together, but not too far apart. The leading is right here. I'm going to kind of adjust this. And then, you know, play around with it as far as like shapes in here. You can really kind of do some really interesting shapes if you play around with just the simple tools in Illustrator. And I'm just going to play with this hexagon shape, but I'm going to make it just a little different here. Keeping it simple. Simple shapes. And I'm going to change the stroke. If you go to window stroke, you can change the stroke here, thicker, thinner. I'm going to kind of pick an in-betweener, maybe just a little bit thicker here. Okay, make it a little bit bigger so I have a little bit more white space. And then I'm going to align it centered, oops, visually so that it looks good, visually centered here. It's always good to kind of zoom in on your work so that you can really get in there and make sure everything looks good. I'll pull this in just a little bit. My leading needs to be pulled in just a slight bit there. Okay. So something simple like this can be done very, very, very simple. See, that's my logo. That would be something that I can bring up here and make it a little bit bigger here. Typically logos are on the, top part of a menu. All right, and another thing that we're going to do is we're going to go just real quick. You don't have to use imagery, it doesn't have to be something that's prominent in here, but Pixabay.com is a great free website to download imagery, maybe textures in the background, maybe a wood texture, for example. You can download these, which kind of make really cool, background imagery. I'm going to do, let's see, there's some coffee shots in here. I'm going to look for something that looks kind of interesting. Let me do, oh, actually, where is that little heart? This one is kind of neat. I'm going to go ahead and download this. And I'm not a robot. Hit download. That's going to download onto my computer. And then I'm going to save this to, I'm going to just plop this on my desktop right now. And I'm basically just going to use this as my top part of my menu. So I'm going to go back to Illustrator. Oops. Let's see, share. Here's my Illustrator. That was my before or my after. I'm going to place my imagery in here. So file place, go ahead and place this in. And I'm just going to place this at the top. Something different up here. Arrange, send to back so that my coffee house image is good there. You know what? This isn't centered. That's interesting. That's going to bother me. Let me go back and actually download something that's a little bit more centered, because that's going to bother me, especially with if I'm centering the logo. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and grab some coffee beans like I had in my other one. Let's see here, desktop. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but that's okay. Okay, file place. Once you get your image in there, download in, like I said before. Go ahead and pull that in there. And then object, arrange, send it back. We'll send it back to, oops, I gotta go back to my layer here. I somehow went into my layers. There we go. Just make sure that your logo is readable. Obviously this is not readable right now. So I gotta switch these around. There we go, that's perfect. And then you can do some really cool things, say with the pen tool, that gives a little bit more texture to this. And I think I did it. Like little arrows here. Like the pen tool. The pen tool is a little hard to do, so don't get frustrated. It's one of those tools that you kind of have to get used to. Actually, what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do instead of that, I'm going to do a rectangle. I think that'll be a little easier. And then I'm going to fill it with white. And I'm going to have this kind of pull this down here as my element, just kind of like a pattern of sorts on the top. Just make it visually interesting so it's not perfectly straight at the bottom. So something just to play around with. And I have to make sure that these are all aligned in the end, because I'm just kind of haphazardly moving them in here. So it's all about like learning Illustrator too, and the tools. That's one thing that sometimes hinders creativity, but I'm going to shift select all, and then I'm going to align all to the top and center. And then that way I can, I'm going to size this down so I have perfect, almost perfect. It's kind of bleeding off a little bit, which is fine, off of my thing. Okay, off of my layout. And then I'm going to, you don't necessarily have to use lines like this. You can just keep the white space, dividing it up. But if you want to add like very thin line, if you think that works for you, that'd be good too. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Under your shapes, you have a line segment tool. I'm going to find the center of my document here. I guess it's center. So let me ungroup my guides, unlock. Where's center? Yeah, center is here. Oh, I got to center this. That is not centered. Center. Okay. Once I find the center here, I'm going to take the line tool and I'm just going to, hold the shift key down and pull this all the way down. And I'm going to draw this line. I'm going to make it the same color. And I can go ahead and take the eyedropper tool and just grab a color from the picture. Same color from the picture. And let me hide my guide so you can see. I made this very thin line. So that's kind of nice little divider. It's not very prominent where it's getting in the way of my headlines or my copy. And then what I want to do is just create, the headlines. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually, let me show my guides here. It would be wise to do it this way. I'm going to keep my text and I'm going to pull these in so I can keep a very nice, very organized visual of where I want my copy to start. So I'd start on this inside and then end on this side. So I'll show you in a sec. Just pull and grab from the vertical ruler on the side to pull your guides out. And then take your type tool and then let's start. This is kind of the margin that we set before. The start of this, we're going to click and drag down. So we have a nice copy box here. But we want to set this to be the lobster typeface for the headline. And we're going to put signature drinks. Now, this copy will not do good all caps because it is a decorative font. So all caps would just be really hard to read. Sometimes you can set this separately in a separate text box. If you want to, you can with your body copy being different, or you can kind of keep it the same and then start your menu items. Now, my suggestion is change the typeface of the menu item. Don't have it decorative as far as that's concerned. Keep it very, very clean. I'm just going to keep it to the Acumen, something, I could actually choose maybe a more medium. And I'm going to make sure it's a little smaller. I'm going to left align this, because I think all the menu items would do good left aligned. And then I'm going to hit tab twice. This is where doing this in InDesign will allow you to set tabs. I don't think you can set tabs in here. Can you? Let's see here, tabs. I usually do a lot of my designing like this in, oh yeah, you can type tabs. Okay. In InDesign. So type tabs. Okay, so let's go up to type. And we're going to set our tabs. And where were they again? Let's see, let's go up to here again. That's the nice thing about this, type tabs. Okay. Oh, okay. In the object, I'm sorry. Ooh, where'd it go? Where's this at? New window. Oh, it's under window. Okay, so it's under window, type tabs. I didn't know that. So window, type tabs. All right, so this will bring up a little box where you can set the tabs. This is a left justified tab. This is a centered, and this is a right. We want a right justified tab right here because that's where our price point will be. So I'm going to put it right where this guide is. So I'm going to hit one time and I set that tab right there. Perfect. Okay, just click off of there. Click your little cursor right there, right after A, hit tab, and then go ahead and put the price point. So I'm going to put, I don't know, let's see, $3.50. Okay. What happened was my tab was a little bit too wide. So I'm going to go back up to type tab. window type tab. And I'm going to pull this in just a little bit more. So that bumps it up. There we go. Perfect. So I just hit return. The next menu item would be, let's do, I'm going to do all caps. Oops. Okay, and then hit tab, and then you should be able to do a price point and then hit return. Hit tab. I'm going to do $4 for this one and see how it kind of keeps it really nice, nicely aligned. Tab, 250. I'm just putting in different ones. Tab, we'll do $3. All right, so that's the start of, say, your first signature drinks. We're going to make this also like a dark brown. We're going to make this copy a little bit dark brown. Let's go ahead and save this swatch in here. Color swatches. Okay, let's bring up swatches. So go to window swatches. This should bring up your swatch, and you can just go ahead and click and drag it down so you have that. So you can set, you can set all of your copy in that if you want, or, you know, maybe this can be lighter. Let's go ahead and set this into a little bit lighter. That's kind of cool. Gives kind of a, you know, a hierarchy there. It's smaller in size. Pull this up just a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to hit, I'm going to hit a return after this, 2 returns, and then I'm going to copy this, and this will be my next header, which will be classic drinks. Oops, I don't do all caps. Classic drinks. And then what's easy is you could just copy this and paste it down here if you want. Let's pull this up a little bit. Okay. I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to keep that as is so that you guys can see how that works. And then I'm just going to duplicate this over, but, you know, definitely change yours up. I just, for the sake of time, I'm just going to pull this over here, and then just make sure that all the baselines match. And what I mean by that is, see how the baselines of signature drinks all kind of line up. Same with the menu items in each column. Check and see and make sure that that's all lining up. Make sure all your price points are lining up. Probably move this over just a tad. Let me unlock my guides are a little off here. I could see that. Show guides. And are they locked? Guides, lock guides now. Okay. This one should be over just a little bit. Okay. And then it's up to you if you want to make these stand out a little bit more as far as these headlines. You could definitely do something where, you know, maybe that becomes dark, and then here, I'll show you in a sec. Pull these out over top. Bring this to the front so we can see this, and then this has to be white if you want to see it. So let me do white. You could do something funky here where see if that goes maybe halfway out on each side. Just make sure it's consistent. And again, you could do like your triangle shape, and we can cut into this. Like that. Let's see if it's rotate a little bit more here. So you're given like a nice boop, kind of a neat little design. And I'm going to flip this one all the way around and do the same on this side. And once you create that one, you can copy it. And then just make sure mine are kind of not quite going a little bit over here. Okay. You can just select, shift select, you can group it and paste it. So just make sure you bring this to the front if you're playing with the layers. So you can see how I'm playing around with typography that works for the clients. It's kind of aligning, it's definitely aligning with the brand. The colors are aligning. I'm paying attention to hierarchy, alignment, all that good stuff. I have to move that a little bit. And then, so then I would just, my guides here, swap these in the back of these here. Hopefully. Set the layer again. And then there we go. White. Oh, that's green. I don't want green. I'm going to keep it simple. You can see I'm just using one color basically and just using tones of that color. And then these, I don't think there's anything here. Make sure there's no copy. I don't know why there's a white. I'll get rid of that little red. Oops. Dot here. There we go. Okay, so the trim view looks like this. And what I would probably do is just make this a little bit bigger to kind of make it work for the client or for the hierarchy of the brand. And let's do menu, example, desktop AI. So you're going to save it as an AI once you're done. I'm going to do one more thing before I finish this up, which is kind of, oops, what did I just do? Send back. Is just adding some accents here, which would be just like two simple thin white lines here. And where's my stroke right here? Okay, let's do, I think I did 4 for the other ones. And then I'm just going to drag a copy over on this side. Maybe make it a little bit thicker, kind of the same size maybe as my logo. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to kind of put maybe a little bit of a drop shadow on this just so it kind of is a little bit easier to read. You don't have to do that. Take it down a little bit. Blur it a little bit. See how it kind of, let's do the preview. You can see it. There we go. Perfect. All right. So then you're just going to save this, and then the instructions on your menu just call for you to, doesn't say what file size. Okay, so basically I would just save this as a AI file, and then you're going to export as a JPEG. The JPEG is what you're going to submit. Okay, so click OK. And then I just save my JPEG and my AI file. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share my final design with you guys. This is the example. Oh, I would put my bleeds on there. It looks like my bleeds are getting kind of funky there. So yeah, I wouldn't have any white gaps. But basically, what I'm going to look for is type hierarchy, the appropriation of type being used for the logo, how easy it is to read your menu items. Keep that simple. Your subheads, like your item titles, can be a little different, can connect with the logo if it's readable. We should be a little bit bigger. Your price points and descriptions, if you have them, should align with your tabs. You should have a little bit of spacing in between, white space in between, to nicely organize your information. All right, I hope this helps.